This text analyzes systematically the events recorded in the history books and proves without doubt that Abdullah bin Saba, the alleged founder of the Shia sect in Islam, was a fictitious character. Further, the author throws some light on the narrations and the researchers who relied on such forgery in their historical and ideological research. The opinions of the great scholars of Islam about the inauthenticity and the unreliability of Saif ibn Umar are also given. Get PDF 2, Get EPUB 3, Get Mobi 4. Topic tags. Fabricated traditions 5, Early Islamic history 6. Person tags. Search in this book centers around those historical narrations compiled by Saif ibn Umar al-Tamimi al-Lusaid, who lived in the 2nd century after Hijrah. These narrations are to be found in his books covering. The author begins by describing both the Sabria legend and its originator, Saif ibn Umar. Further, he throws some light on the narrations and the researchers who relied on such forgery in their historical and ideological research. The opinions of the great scholars of Islam about the inauthenticity and the unreliability of Saif ibn Umar are also given. 4. The author Truth behind the fiction. Comments by Dr. Hamid Havni Dawood. Truth behind the fiction. Comments by Dr. Hamid Havni Dawood, professor in Arabic. Language by him, the biggest is told in the story of Abdullah bin Saba. This is one of the tales told in order to accuse Shias of heresy in foregoing events. The great contemporary researcher, the Reverend Al-Sayyid Murtada al-Askari, in his book, Abdullah bin Saba, has proved with substantial evidence that Abdullah bin Saba was fictitious, and it is therefore a greater lie to say he was the founder of Shiism. Al-Sayyid Murtada al-Askari has been deeply involved in history and has proved from Sunni sources that the enemies of Shia are false. From the early days of Islam up to the present, stories like those about Abdullah bin Saba told by Saif bin Omar were believed as being from reliable sources, but in this book extensive research has been made concerning these stories, in order to facilitate the finding of the truth about them. God has decreed that some learned men disclose the truth regardless of the blame they may get. The pioneer in this field is the honorable author of this book, who has made the Sunni learned men of research revise the history book of Tabari, History of Nations and Kings, and to sift out the authentic stories from the false. The stories which remained unchanged and unaltered for centuries like God's revelations. The honorable writer, with much evidence, has stripped the veil or ambiguity from those historical events, and in the best way disclosed the truth, to such an extent that some facts seem frightful. Of course some of them appear to be incredible, for they contradict the beliefs of a lifetime, and our religious legacy, centuries old. But we have to obey the truth no matter how difficult they appear. The truth is the best to be followed. To know what it is all about, one has to read this book and scrutinize the events of which there are different opinions, such as the army of Osama, the death of the honored prophet, the story of Saqifa, all of which have been examined by the author. When the messenger of God was on his deathbed, some men left the army of Osama without permission, and went back to Medina with the hope of gaining some privileged office. The author introduces these people to us. On his deathbed the prophet wanted to make a will, but some people ignored this wish, and called it the ravings of a dying man. Perhaps they were afraid of the possibility of his introducing Al-Imam, alias H.L. Lived a man called Saif bin Omar al-Tamimi. He wrote 2 books. 1. Al-Fatu wal-Rida. 2. Al-Jamal wa Maysiri, Aisha wa Ali. He served 2 purposes in his 2 books. 1. Inventing stories without foundation. 2. Recording events in such a way that truth appeared to be false, and false appeared to be truth. He invented companions, Sahabi, for the Prophet such as Sa'ir, Hazars, Of, Homeza, etc. He recorded his stories in such a way that they appeared to have been told by the people who met these Sahabis. Among his fictional heroes is Abdullah bin Saba, who was supposed to have related tales about Shia. All stories against Shias, recorded by all historians, originate from Saif. After Saif, the historians accepted his books as the gospel truth. Tabari was the first historian who relied upon Saif. Other historians, Ibn Athir and Ibn Asakir, among them, followed Tabari blindly. Ibn Asakir, among them, followed Tabari blindly. Saif invented stories and muddled authentic events, but the only source of all his stories is his own books, Al-Fatu and Al-Jamal. The book, Abdullah bin Saba, proves that the above statement is true, and its knowledgeable author's task is to show the truth as it was, without gilding the lily. Not a single learned man can deny, or doubt, anything which Sayyid Murtada al-Askari has written, because the book is based on logical proofs and no one can deny logic and axioms. I have discussed Abdullah bin Saba with many people, but I answered them as previous learned men have done, except that I made it easier for them to understand that I believed in the existence of Abdullah bin Saba. Now, the very learned Al-Sayyid Murtada al-Askari has changed the story completely, and proved that Abdullah bin Saba is fictitious. I may say that this is the first Arabic book to have examined history scientifically. The author has done a great service not only for religion, knowledge and Shias, but for Islam. He has closed the door to those who wanted to disturb Muslim unity, and to those Sunnis who get courage from their false stories. Today their first and only evidence, the stories of bin Saba and bin Sauda invented by Saif, have been proved to be false. Finally, may I point out that this book is to be published. And the origin of the story. The tale of Abdullah bin Saba is over 12 centuries old. Historians and writers, one after the other, recorded it, adding more and more to it. All historians agree that the story was told first of all by Saif. The following historians recorded directly from Saif. 1. Tabari. 2. Dahabi, he has also cited from Tabari. 3. Ibn Abi Bakr, he has also recorded from Ibn Athir 15, who has recorded from Tabari. 4. Ibn Asakir, the following have recorded indirectly from Saif. 5. Nicholson from Tabari 2. 6. Encyclopedia of Islam from Tabari 2. 7. Van Flotten from Tabari 2. 8. Wellhausen from Tabari 2. 9. Merkhan from Tabari 2. 10. Ahmad Amin from Tabari 2, and from Wellhausen. 11. Ferid Vaidi from Tabari 2. 12. Hassan Ibrahim from Tabari 2. 13. Sa'id Afghani from Tabari 2, and from Ibn Abi Bakr 3, Ibn Asakir 4, and Ibn Badr 21. 14. Ibn Khaldun from Tabari 2. 15. Ibn Athir from Tabari 2. 16. Ibn Kathir from Tabari 2. 17. Donaldson from Nicholson 5. 19. Abulfeda from Ibn Athir 15. 20. Rashid Reza from Ibn Athir 15. 21. Ibn Badr from Ibn Asakir 4. 22. Bostani from Ibn Kathir 16. The above list gives evidence to the fact that the story of Abdullah bin Saba has been started by Saif and cited primarily from Tabari. Therefore, Saif's character and history should be studied and analyzed with great care. Who is Saif? Short biography. Saif bin Omar Tamimi lived in the 2nd century of the Muslim era, 8th century AD, and died after the year 170. HL 750 AD. He wrote 2 books. 1. Al-Futuh wal-Rida, which is the history of the period before the death of the Prophet until the 3rd Caliph, Othman resumed office as the ruler of Muslim world. 2. Al-Jamal wa Mayza, Aisha wa Ali, which is the history from the murder of Othman to the Battle of Jamal. These 2 books contain more fiction than truth, some forged stories, and some true event which, intentionally, have been recorded in a ridiculing manner. Since Saif spoke of some of the companions of the Prophet, and also invented some, his stories have affected the history of early Islam. Some biographers such as the authors of Ozdilgabar, Estiab and Esabar, and geographers such as the authors of Mojem al-Buldan and Al-Razomtar have written the lives of some companions of the Prophet, and named places which exist only in the books written by Saif. Because of this, the life and character of Saif must be investigated thoroughly and carefully. The result of the investigation into Saif's life shows that Saif was an agnostic and an unreliable storyteller. Stories told by him are dubious and entirely or partly forged. The following are some stories told by him. 1. The Army of Osama. Pavilion of Bani Saida. Story of the Pavilion of Bani Saida according to authentic sources.